Is your village being ravaged by an evil harbinger of death and destruction? Has your mother, father, brother, or good friend Alex been murdered by the Death Adder and his minions? Call the law firm of Badler, Flare, and Thunderhead. We stand up for your rights against the Death Adder. Ring, ring. Call us today, and our experienced warriors will defend you using swords, axes, and the magic of earth, thunder, and fire.
Sounds great! How do I get started?
Simply insert the Golden Axe cartridge into your Sega Genesis game console, and we'll begin representing you right away.
Thanks, Badler, Flare, and Thunderhead!
In 1989, Sega introduced Golden Axe, a hack-and-slash set in the medieval world of Uria, where an evil mofo called the Death Adder murders whole families and kidnaps the king and princess.
Three heroes whose relatives have fallen victim to the Death Adder set out to rescue the royal family and put an end to the Death Adder's reign of terror.
Axe Badler, the Barbarian, a chiseled warrior who fights with a sword despite being named Axe Badler.
Tyrus Flare, the Amazon, a buff woman with a nice body shape.
Gilius Thunderhead, the dwarf, an axe-wielding, bearded gnome-looking guy.
The game opens with your good friend Alex limping onto the screen and being suddenly assaulted by one of the Death Adder's minions.
Damn, this guy was already bloody and walking on crutches, but they just had to finish him off. That's cold.
He tells you that his majesty and the princess have been taken by Death Adder. Revenge me, my friend. Then he drops dead. Alex! No!
What?
Poor Alex. He's not even on the screen 2 seconds before being brutally attacked and killed. Then he's never mentioned again.
Our good friend deserves better. We'll revenge you, Alex.
Oh, Alex, you were my good friend, but now it's all come to an end. Death Adder, he killed you dead. He stuck an axe right in your head. Uriel was once so full of beauty. To bring peace to the land is my duty. I'll always treasure our happier days. I won't let your death be in vain. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. And pay him back for what he took away, yeah. Oh, Alex, where did we go wrong? You weren't even on the screen that long. It was only a second or two before it came and murdered you. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. And pay him back for what he took away, yeah. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. And pay him back for what he took away. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. I'll revenge you. I don't like when people kill my friends.
Your mission is to rescue the king and princess and revenge Alex by hacking and slashing a variety of strange creatures and rescuing helpless villagers along the way.
Your moves are pretty standard. Attack, jump, and magic, which calls down the wrath of the gods to smite your enemies.
Pick up blue bottles of magic and you can max out your power for the ultimate magic move, like Tyrus Flare's kick-ass dragon. Whoa!
Occasionally, thieves will come and try to steal your magic while you're sleeping, so you have to beat the little bastards until they give it back. Ugh, hand it over, jerk!
Conveniently, if you die and continue, you keep your magic.
If you died with no magic, the game will even start you off with one courtesy magic. How polite!
Pressing 2 buttons together also does some kind of backward attack, which would be useful if it didn't take so damn long to complete that the enemies behind you have already killed you.
Occasionally, you'll run into different animals you can ride on, like this cockatrice you'll recognize from Altered Beast, or fire-breathing dragons.
Dragons look cool, but this one tends to breathe fire right over the enemies' heads, leaving you open for attack.
You never want to leave yourself open for attack in this game. Once an enemy gets one hit in, they can get you stuck in a lengthy death loop and drain most of your energy.
On top of that, the control, it's not great. It's difficult for your weapon to make purchase, and especially difficult to jump.
Any jump in the game is going to cost even seasoned players at least 2 or 3 lives. Not because it's challenging, but because the control is just broken, and don't even think about jumping while riding an animal.
Another issue is that if an enemy is too far to the side of the screen, you can't hit them, but they can hit you. I mean, that's just wrong.
Sometimes a bottle of magic will even end up on the side of the screen, and you can't pick it up.
The graphics are pretty cool, especially this part where we're fighting in the back of a giant eagle. Look at the feathers flying around, and the moving eyeball. Oh, and of course, Beer Garden Sega.
But the best part is the sound effects. Some of them were taken straight from the movie First Blood. How cool is it to slash an enemy and hear, "Oh God!"
Of course there is damage between players, so we can't give this one the Chris and Jen seal of approval.
But it does have a really awesome ending. The Death Adder's axe flies up in the air and lands right in his chest, spurting blood everywhere. Yes!
You rescue the king and princess, and what happens next is a great moment in video game history.
And now, great moments in video game history. Today's great moment, the amazing ending of Golden Axe Arcade.
When you beat the game, it suddenly becomes self-aware and shows a group of kids playing a Great Axe arcade cabinet. Then the characters from the game climb out through the screen and chase the kids out the door.
They run through the streets past signs displaying cryptic messages like Video Game Doi Doi and Hokari's Sweat, with Gilius Thunderhead lagging behind.
Check out this fun music.
In late 1989, Golden Axe was released on the Sega Genesis, and Sega claimed it was almost indistinguishable from the arcade version in commercials like this one.
Dave Whitney wanted the real arcade games at home, so he got them.
Obviously, Dave Whitney is really cool.
And rich.
Mike Rogers wanted them too, but he got a Genesis system by Sega.
Well, I guess that works if you can't afford the arcade cabinets.
Not as cool, though.
Why? Check it out. Arcade screen left, Genesis screen right. If they look the same, you've answered correctly.
I've answered correctly? I don't remember being asked a question.
And they don't look the same. The arcade screens look way better. They're just showing them really quickly and hoping we won't notice.
Mike Rogers chose poorly. I'm gonna go hang out with Dave Whitney and play his arcade games.
Besides, Genesis has real-life action in sports games, flying games, and adventure games. The hottest library going. So if you want real arcade action, there's only 2 ways to get it.
Dave, we got your golden axe.
Coolest parents ever.
Yes, please. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Or get Genesis by Sega. We bring the arcade experience home.
Should I get arcade cabinets with superior graphics and sound and unlimited continues, or should I get a Sega Genesis?
Not a tough decision.
We're playing Golden Axe on the Sega 6-pack, PAK, which you might remember from our Streets of Rage review.
It also features columns. Wow, we only have columns on 14 other Sega collections.
And we're using a Game Genie. You'll see why later.
The game starts arcade style, meaning for a 2-player game, player 2 has to press start.
Death Adder has invaded the castle and taken the king and princess prisoners. You mean, prisoner?
My good friend Alex was also killed in the battle. Oh, so I guess we don't get to witness Alex's untimely demise like we did in the arcade version.
Despite what Mike Rogers says, the Genesis version of Golden Axe is no arcade game, but it still has pretty good graphics for an early Genesis game.
Surprisingly, it actually plays slightly faster than the arcade version. I guess that's the blast processing.
I told you, blast processing is a myth. It's just a marketing tool.
Whatever. Gone are the "Oh God!" death throws taken from First Blood. Instead, we get generic screaming, but now the music stops abruptly for each death, which makes it kind of creepy.
Curiously, Gilius's axe is no longer golden, even though the game is still called Golden Axe.
The control manages to be even worse than the arcade version, and now the game freezes in between screens, like it's broken.
And there's still damage between players, but at least you can get more magic out of these little buggers.
And full magic still looks really cool.
When you kill Death Adder, he just blinks out of existence, and the princess tells you, I have a feeling that he might be taking orders. Sometimes he did disappear into that door. So what? That could just be a bathroom.
Sometimes I disappear into that door too. That doesn't mean I'm taking orders.
Will you go into battle for me yet once more? Honestly, I'd rather not, but the game doesn't give you a choice. Before you know it...
What? Another level? Come on! Ugh.
There's another level.
That's right, Jen. The Genesis version added an extra level that was not in the original arcade game. Okay, that's pretty common. Arcade games are traditionally short to maximize quarter input, so home console versions often add additional levels to pad the game out.
But the problem with this one is this jump. It's right at the beginning of the level in a game with terrible jump control.
We die so many times at this jump that we have to use a Game Genie just to beat the game and get the real ending.
Usually, we stop the game before this level.
You have rid us of the hideous Death Adder. Great! I guess the game's over.
Yep, we killed the Death Adder. We're heroes.
Alright. Oh, time for some Game Gear.
I'm gonna play some Tetris.
Alright.
But we use the Game Genie for your benefit, so you can see the end of the game. You're welcome.
So once you waste 6 lives at this BS jump and fall off a few cliffs, you find yourself fighting the Deathbringer, a palette-swapped Death Adder with purple skin and green armor.
Oof, honey, that green with your skin tone, big no-no.
He fights us using our own magic, and when you kill him, his axe falls on his chest, but no blood spurts out. Come on! I thought the Genesis was this bad boy of home consoles. Where's the blood?
Thank you, Gallant One. One, hello, there's 2 of us. May you be titled the savior of our kingdom. Now prepare for a grand feast. You lost me on titled the savior of our kingdom, but the grand feast sounds promising.
Then you get to see some interesting character stats, and learn that the cockatrice is actually called Chicken Leg. Chicken Leg.
Gilius plays baseball with one of the enemies, and their ball becomes the credits.
The producer's name is...
These people are responsible for the English messages. Fail.
Golden Axe was also released for the Sega Master System in 1989. 89 sure was a busy year for Sega.
It starts up with a pretty impressive looking graphic of what looks like Conan the Barbarian or something.
Unfortunately, it's only one player, and you can only play as Axe Battler, who still uses a sword.
So who's this guy at the beginning? He's carrying an axe.
You do have the option to select your magic. One is called Thunder, but it looks like lightning. The Dragon one is still pretty cool, even in 8-bit.
The gameplay is still as off as it was in the arcade and Genesis versions, and in true Golden Axe fashion, it's impossible to jump.
The graphics are pretty good for an 8-bit game. In fact, they're almost comparable to the Genesis. You can't do that on Nintendo.
but the colors are similar to Double Dragon on the Master System. They make me feel like I'm playing a primitive Leisure Suit Larry game. All the characters have pink skin and most of the animals are blue. One dragon even breathes blue flames, unless that's supposed to be water and it's just like spitting. Anyway, it makes a cool Atari sound.
The impressive graphics work the Master System overtime, making the gameplay kinda jittery, like you're streaming a video over a dial-up connection. It messes with your eyes.
The screen also moves with the character as he jumps, and the awkward control requires a lot of jump attacks, so it messes up your eyes even more. Ooh, I feel seasick.
The jumping seems to be pressure sensitive, so to jump higher, you need to press the button harder.
Since the Master System controller only has 2 buttons, to use magic you have to press both buttons at once, so it's hard not to use it accidentally when you're trying to jump attack.
It doesn't help that after you attack, you freeze momentarily, leaving you a sitting duck to enemies. This is especially noticeable when you're riding on an animal.
The control issues make the game very hard to beat, especially since it's only one player.
It seems like maybe they could have improved it by using less detailed graphics and smaller sprites, but concentrating on smoother gameplay and 2-player co-op.
Oh yeah, and if you hold up and 2 at the game over screen, you can continue once. That's a freebie for you.
In 2005, the Sega Classics Collection was released for the PlayStation 2. It contained 3D remakes of some classic Sega games, including Golden Axe.
The story explains the significance of the Golden Axe for the first time and the origins of the Death Adder. Even more is revealed in some hilarious cutscenes.
The 3D version of Golden Axe leaves much to be desired. For a game that came out in 2005 for the PS2, the graphics are pretty subpar. It looks like a PS1 or Nintendo 64 game.
And surprisingly, this is the first version where we experience a lot of slowdown, especially at this part with the waterfall. Slow down city.
The animals look a little strange, like this cockatrice that resembles a giant shrimp, and this dragon that seems to float in the air when it walks. But the magic still looks really cool.
And check out the wings flapping on this giant eagle.
Your characters can move in all 3 dimensions, but they can only fight in 2, which makes it a little easier. In many 3D beat-em-ups, the extra dimension can make it difficult to line up with enemies who aren't right next to you.
Unlike in previous versions, you now have a magic bar, which seems to build up on its own as you fight, as well as when you pick up blue bottles.
The moves are the same, and now you can throw enemies, but you're more likely to end up throwing, well, nothing. The animation takes a while, leaving you open to attack, but instead of attacking you, the enemies will wait politely for you to finish.
One cool new feature is that each of the enemies has an energy bar, so you can see how long it's going to take you to kill them.
Like in all the other versions, the control is awkward, and jumping is impossible, but there's no damage between players. So this game's gonna get the Chris and Jen seal of approval.
Unfortunately, it does have the BS extra level from the Genesis version, and the very same impossible jump that killed us in that version. Plus these magicians. Ugh, they give you magic, but they can kill you in the process. What's the point of that?
If you're a Golden Axe fan, it's a fun curiosity, but otherwise, meh.
Golden Axe 2 was released in 1991 for the Sega Genesis. Instead of the Death Adder, this game features a bad guy called Dark Gould, who appears to have a giant... I'm not gonna say what that looks like, because this is a family show.
Check out this awesome start menu music.
You now have the option to select a type of magic, either normal or special. Normal is the same as Golden Axe 1, and special allows you to use only some of your magic instead of all of it. The longer you hold down the button, the more you use.
The first thing you'll notice about this game is that the graphics actually look worse than Golden Axe 1 and the Genesis, and the sprites are smaller.
Look at these colors. It's nothing but beige, green, and pink. Plus this one level that's all red and looks like a tiled background on a Windows 95 computer. Normally in a sequel they actually improve the graphics. Guess Sega didn't get the memo.
One plus is that the hit detection is a little better, and you can now find magic just lying around, instead of always having to kill a dwarf for it. We do not support dwarf murder.
But the guys who do bring magic are no longer dwarves. They're now magicians who can kill you, just like in the PS2 version, so you have to kill them in self-defense.
The animals you find are really lame. They all have short-range attacks, making them almost more of a hindrance.
And listen to the enemies' death throes. Bleh, 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 bleh. What the heck is that? The first Golden Axe used clips from freaking Rambo, and all this one has is bleh, weak.
Oh yeah, and there's damage between players. At least it doesn't have some BS extra level at the end.
Golden Axe 3 was released in 1993 exclusively in Japan on the Sega Mega Drive, and in the US only on the Sega Channel.
Yes, you could actually download games for your Sega Genesis, and if you were one of the lucky few Americans to possess this technology, you were privy to exclusive games like Golden Axe 3.
And if you lived in Europe, you were just screwed.
Fortunately, Golden Axe 3 is now available on the Wii Virtual Console and Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection for the Xbox 360 and PS3. Europeans rejoice.
It's a shame this game's release was so limited because it adds a lot of cool enhancements like extra moves, better graphics, and the option to choose your own path, adding to its replay value.
In an interesting move, Sega decided to remove Gilius Thunderhead as a playable character and just had him show up to give you advice, kind of like Toad in a Mario game.
They did add 2 new players, what looks like a Panther Man and some kind of Beast Man with broken shackles on his wrists like My Pet Monster. Yeah, I went way back.
Panther Man and My Pet Monster follow a different storyline than the other characters, and actually have some really cool new moves. We found the game a lot easier when we played as them, and even managed to get higher grades than F for once.
If you play as the classic characters, you end up fighting Beastman, and when you kill him, evil spirits fly out of his body and he decides to join you. Other enemies include skeletons of what look like the Gorn from Star Trek, and the Ghost of Christmas Present.
The gameplay is a little slower than previous versions, and you now have to press a button to pick up magic, which can be a real pain in the neck.
The music is very different. It's not as medieval and triumphant sounding as in previous games. It's more like modern Weather Channel music, and I kinda like it.
The variety of new moves are a little confusing. We played the game probably 5 or 6 times, and we still don't know how to do all of them.
The worst is his block move. I always do it when I don't want to and end up getting attacked. Some block, it doesn't even protect me.
At least it's finally easier to jump, but there's damage between players, and your energy isn't refilled at the beginning of a level. Indecent.
Onks now appear to show how many villagers you've rescued, but we're not sure what the purpose is.
The animals are even more lame than they are in 2, and there's less of them. One of them is just a stupid snail who sticks his tongue out like some kind of imitation Yoshi.
Unfortunately, we couldn't beat this game because the only code we found that worked was the secret message. Yeah, check out what the secret message is.
Produced by or under license from Sega Enterprises Limited. Wow, big secret.
So we died and got this not so secret message. And you dead. Wow.
A few other Golden Axe spin-offs exist like Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder, Golden Axe Warrior, Golden Axe Beast Rider, Golden Axe The Duel, and Axe Battler, A Legend of Golden Axe. But frankly, we're all Golden Axed out.
Golden Axe is a great hack and slash game that became an empire, much like the Death Adder's reign over Uria.
So if your good friend Alex turns up dead, you know who to call.
People keep trying to make a monkey out of me.
Is your village being ravaged? Hold on. Take two. Is your village being ravaged by a harbinger of death and destruction? The evil harbinger of death and destruction. Man, what a terrible actress. While you're doing that, you want to say, thanks, Battler, Flare, and Thunderhead.
Thanks, Battler, Thunderhead, and Flare.
Battler, Flare, and Thunderhead.
Thanks, Battler, Flare, and Thunderhead.
We stand up for your rights against the Death Adder. Death Adder's evil powers. That's good.
That was good.
Alright, let me do the next line.
Okay.
Stay on the phone, though.
I'm gonna hang